The grand chamber of the Assembly of Worlds buzzed with activity as representatives from 1,000 civilizations gathered for their centennial meeting. Crystalline screens floated through the air, displaying statistics and achievements from across the galaxy. The Avalonian delegation, with their bioluminescent skin, cast shifting patterns across the polished obsidian walls. The mechanical Zeth hummed in their quantum resonance chambers. Even the usually reclusive mist-weavers had sent an envoy, their gaseous forms contained within ornate vessels. Ambassador Cathrax of the Dominion Alliance rose to address the assembly, his chrome-plated exoskeleton gleaming under the artificial stars that dotted the chamber ceiling. Esteemed colleagues, his translated voice reverberated through the hall. Our latest survey of primitive species has identified several candidates for observation. A ripple of amusement passed through the gathering. The holographic display shifted to show a familiar blue-green planet, Earth. Cathrax continued, mandibles clicking with barely concealed disdain. They've managed to establish a few orbital habitats, colonize their red neighbor, and still think fusion power is an achievement. Laughter echoed through the chamber. Their military capabilities are particularly amusing, added Ambassador Telthor of the Silicon Confluence, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns of superiority. Their largest vessels would barely qualify as escort ships in our fleets. The merriment was interrupted by a sudden dimming of the chamber's lights. The artificial stars flickered and went dark. A junior aide rushed into the chamber, their multiple appendages trembling with urgency. Honorable Assembly, we've detected an anomaly at the Nexus Gate. The Nexus Gate, the most heavily defended installation in known space, a construct that regulated faster-than-light travel across 12 sectors. No unauthorized vessel had ever approached it in the 3 millennia since its construction. The central display shifted to show a massive vessel of unfamiliar design. Its hull seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it, making its true dimensions difficult to discern. It bore no visible weapons, no obvious propulsion systems, and yet it had somehow appeared at the heart of their defense network without triggering a single alarm. Impossible, whispered Cathrax. Our sensors indicate it's of human origin. The chamber erupted in chaos. The Mist Weaver's vessels vibrated with agitation. The Zeth's quantum hum reached a fever pitch. Through it all, the mysterious ship maintained its position, silent and still. This must be some mistake, Selthor declared. Humans don't possess such technology. Their most advanced chips still rely on primitive antimatter drives. Transmission request flashed across every screen in the chamber. The source, the human vessel. After a moment of tense deliberation, the Assembly's security protocols were overridden. A holographic figure materialized in the center of the chamber, a human woman in a simple gray uniform, her dark skin contrasting with silver neural interfaces that traced delicate patterns across her temples. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Prometheus, she announced, her voice carrying an authority that silenced the chamber. We've been watching, listening, learning. While you've been laughing at our primitive technology, we've been preparing. There's something coming, something that threatens not just humanity, but all sentient life in this galaxy. We chose to appear primitive because it bought us time. Time we desperately needed. The Assembly watched in stunned silence as the Prometheus's outer hull began to shift, revealing layers of technology that defied their understanding. Quantum matrices more advanced than anything the Zeth had conceived. Spatial manipulation systems that made the Mist Weaver's mastery of space-time look elementary. We've detected an anomaly at the edge of the galaxy, Captain Chen continued. Your sensors will register it in approximately 3 standard days. When that happens, you'll understand why we've revealed ourselves now. The Assembly of Worlds has stood for millennia, but what's coming will destroy everything unless we stand together. As if to emphasize her point, the Prometheus demonstrated its capabilities. In an instant, it created a localized time dilation field that caused several seconds to pass inside the chamber while days passed outside. The Assembly witnessed the approach of something that defied description. a darkness that consumed stars. When time normalized, Captain Chen's expression was grave. That was a glimpse of our future. 3 days from now, you can continue to dismiss humanity as primitive, or you can accept that your assumptions about us were wrong. Either way, the threat is real, and time is running out. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't been primitive at all. They had been preparing, advancing in secret, developing technologies that the Assembly's greatest minds had thought impossible. And now, they were offering to share those technologies, to stand together against a threat that could end all civilization. In the space around the Nexus Gate, the Prometheus pulsed with quiet power, its quantum state hull reflecting the light of 1 trillion stars. It was no longer just a ship. It was a testament to what humanity had become while the galaxy laughed at their primitive technology. And it was, perhaps, their only hope for survival. The Assembly's main chamber had been transformed into a war room. Where once ornate displays had shown trade routes and diplomatic protocols, now they revealed something far more terrifying: the approaching entity's path of destruction across the galaxy's edge. The Prometheus's sensors, far more advanced than anything the Assembly possessed, painted a picture of methodical annihilation. "We call them the Void Collective," Captain Chen explained, her hologram now joined by a tall, silver-haired man identified as Dr. Marcus Rivera, Earth's leading genophysicist. They exist partially outside our normal spacetime, which is why conventional sensors can't detect them until it's too late. Dr. Rivera gestured, and a new hologram appeared, a visualization of space itself being twisted and consumed. 50 years ago, we detected quantum echoes of their passage through other galaxies. The patterns were clear. They moved from galaxy to galaxy, converting all matter and energy into something else, something our universe's physics says should be impossible. The Zeth representatives hummed in harmonic distress. "You speak of violations of conservation of mass energy. This cannot be. Can't it?" Chen's hologram walked through the display, pointing to specific data points. "Your own long-range sensors have detected galaxies that seem to simply vanish, leaving behind nothing but quantum noise. You dismissed these observations as equipment malfunctions. We recognized them as footprints." Ambassador Kithrax, who had been unusually quiet since the Prometheus's demonstration, finally spoke. "If what you say is true, why did you not warn us sooner? Why the deception?" "Because they can sense advanced quantum manipulation technology," Dr. Rivera explained. "Any civilization that reaches a certain level of quantum engineering sophistication becomes visible to them. Like a beacon in the dark. We discovered this the hard way." The hologram shifted to show Earth, but not as the Assembly knew it. This Earth was surrounded by massive structures that bent light itself, defended by technologies that made the Assembly's most advanced weapons look like children's toys. "This was us, 20 years ago," Chen said softly. "We thought we were ready. We were wrong." The display showed a massive tear in spacetime appearing near Earth's moon. What emerged was something that defied description, a writhing mass of impossible geometries that seemed to exist in more dimensions than space allowed. The defense grid, impressive as it was, lasted less than an hour. "We lost our moon that day," Dr. Rivera continued, "along with 3 billion people. But we learned something crucial. They can't track quantum technology if it's maintained in a state of controlled uncertainty. So we rebuilt. We developed systems that exist in quantum superposition, technologies that are simultaneously active and dormant. We made ourselves invisible to them." The Mist Weaver's vessels pulsed with patterns of realization. "Your primitive technology. It was a mask." "More than that," Chen corrected. "Every primitive human technology you've observed was designed to hide its true nature. Our fusion reactors, quantum singularity drives running at 0.001% capacity. Our basic AI systems, quantum consciousness engines solving the universe's deepest mysteries, while pretending to struggle with simple calculations." The chamber erupted in a chaos of questions and demands, but fell silent as the Prometheus transmitted new data. The void at the galaxy's edge had grown. 3 more star systems had vanished in the time they'd been talking. "We don't have time for recriminations or political maneuvering." Chen's voice cut through the silence. "Earth has developed weapons and defenses that might work against them, but we need the Assembly's help to implement them on a galactic scale. Every ship, every station, every inhabite." Dr. Rivera stepped forward, his expression grave. "We've spent 20 years preparing for this moment. We have the technology. We have the solutions. What we don't have is time. The Void Collective will reach the first assembly world in less than 72 hours. Either we work together, or we watch this galaxy die. The world will need to be upgraded with our quantum uncertainty protocols." The chamber that had rung with laughter mere minutes ago now sat in profound silence. The mighty assembly of worlds faced a choice: cling to their prejudices or accept that humanity had outmaneuvered them all. And in the viewport above, the Prometheus waited, a testament to the fact that sometimes the most dangerous species are the ones you underestimate. The Assembly's emergency response fleet arrived within hours, 500 of the most advanced warships in known space, representing the combined might of a dozen elder races. They surrounded the Prometheus in a 3-dimensional lattice formation that had broken sieges and won wars for millennia. Yet compared to the human vessel's impossible presence, their impressive display felt somehow hollow. Admiral Ixtal of the Dominion's 7th Fleet watched from his flagship's command center, all 6 of his eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Prometheus defied conventional analysis. Its hull seemed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously, and its energy signature pulsed with patterns that made his best sensors return contradictory readings. "Launch probe Swarm Alpha," he commanded. 1,000 autonomous drones, each carrying the most sophisticated scanning equipment in the galaxy, streamed toward the human vessel. They were designed to penetrate any known defense system, map any known technology. None of them made it within a kilometer of the Prometheus. There was no energy burst, no visible defense screen, no sign of countermeasures. The probes simply stopped, frozen in space as if they'd hit an invisible wall. When they were retrieved, their quantum cores had been completely rewritten. Instead of sensor data, each probe contained a single message: "We come in peace, but we will not be studied like specimens." In the assembly chamber, the diplomatic crisis had reached a fever pitch. The Zeth Concordat demanded immediate action, their mechanical voices harmonizing in frequencies of aggression. The Silicon Confluence calculated a 98.3% probability that humanity had received illegal technological assistance from some unknown benefactor. The Mist Weaver's vessels swirled with patterns indicating deep disturbance. They claimed to sense ripples in space-time around the Prometheus that shouldn't be possible. Captain Chen's hologram reappeared, this time accompanied by streams of data that filled the chamber's displays. "What you're seeing is proof of the threat we detected. Quantum distortions at the galaxy's edge. Gravitational anomalies that don't match any known natural phenomenon. And this," she gestured, and a new hologram appeared. A star system at the galaxy's rim, its sun being systematically dismantled by something that hurt to look at directly. "Impossible," whispered Ambassador Excelfor. "That system was surveyed last cycle. There was nothing unusual." "Time moves differently where they come from," Chen interrupted. "What you're seeing happened 6 hours ago in our reference frame. In 3 days, they'll reach populated space. We've been tracking them for decades, ever since we detected their quantum wake. It's why we hid our true capabilities. We needed to prepare without drawing their attention." Admiral Ixtal's voice cut through the chamber's communication network. "The human vessel is powering something. Energy readings are. He trailed off as the Prometheus began to move. There was no acceleration in any conventional sense. Space itself seemed to fold around the ship as it shifted position, appearing simultaneously at 12 different points around the Nexus Gate. Not copies, the same ship, existing in multiple locations at once, each version as real as the others. Quantum superposition at a macroscopic scale, one of the Zeth analysts announced, their mechanical voice trembling with what might have been fear. They'd weaponized uncertainty itself. Not weaponized, Chen corrected. Mastered. Everything you're seeing, the quantum manipulation, the space-time distortions, the temporal engineering, we developed these technologies for a single purpose: survival. Not just ours, but everyone's. The Prometheus collapsed back into a single point in space, but now every sensor in the assembly fleet registered what it had done. The ship had created a network of quantum-entangled space-time markers around the Nexus Gate, a defense grid more sophisticated than anything the assembly had ever conceived. We could have used this technology for conquest, Chen continued. We could have emerged from hiding and dominated the galaxy. Instead, we're here to warn you and offer an alliance, because what's coming doesn't care about our differences. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't conquer. It consumes everything. The assembly representatives looked at each other, ancient rivalries and political divisions suddenly seeming insignificant in the face of extinction. The Prometheus hung in space above them, a testament to what humanity had achieved in secret, driven by the knowledge of what was coming. High Admiral Ixtal was the first to speak. The Dominion Alliance pledges its full support. Our shipyards are yours. One by one, other representatives made similar declarations. The Silicon Confluence offered its computational networks. The Mist Weavers promised their mastery of space-time manipulation. Even the Zeth, notorious for their isolationism, agreed to share their quantum engineering secrets. Captain Chen's hologram smiled for the first time since appearing in the chamber. Then let's begin. Because humanity didn't just develop defenses these past 20 years. We've been working on something else, something we call Project Lazarus. And if it works, we're not just going to survive the Void Collective, we're going to end them. The next 48 hours transformed the galaxy. Assembly shipyards worked at unprecedented speed, guided by human engineers who finally revealed the true extent of their technological mastery. What the assembly had dismissed as primitive fusion cores were converted into their true forms, quantum singularity drives that could bend reality itself. Ships that had once been considered state-of-the-art were upgraded with technology that seemed to break the laws of physics. At the heart of this transformation was Project Lazarus, humanity's ultimate weapon against the Void Collective. Deep within the Prometheus, Captain Chen and Dr. Rivera briefed the Assembly's highest council on what humanity had spent 2 decades perfecting. The Void Collective exists partially outside normal spacetime, Rivera explained, manipulating a hologram that showed complex quantum calculations. They consume reality itself, converting it into something our universe rejects. But we discovered something they didn't expect. Reality can fight back. The hologram shifted to show a massive structure taking shape at the Nexus Gate. Assembly workers and human engineers worked together, guided by designs that had been waiting for this moment for 20 years. The structure looked like a massive web of crystalline filaments, each strand humming with quantum potential. We call it the reality anchor, Chen said. It doesn't just defend against their assault on our universe. It forces them to fully manifest within our physical laws. And once they're fully here, she was interrupted by urgent communications from the outer defense perimeter. The Void Collective had arrived ahead of schedule. The first wave emerged from what looked like tears in space itself, massive, geometric shapes that hurt to look at, trailing tendrils of unreality that consumed everything they touched. All ships, execute Protocol Omega. Chen's voice rang through the combined fleet's communication networks. Assembly ships and human vessels moved in perfect synchronization, their newly upgraded quantum drives pulsing in harmony. The Prometheus led the formation, its hull shifting through multiple quantum states as it approached the reality-ending horror before them. The Void Collective's response was immediate and devastating. Space itself began to unravel around the fleet. Ships that weren't protected by human quantum uncertainty protocols simply ceased to exist, their matter and energy converted into something that couldn't exist in normal space. But the upgraded ships held. The quantum uncertainty field generated by the combined fleet created a bubble of stable reality, a fortress of physics against the impossible geometries trying to unmake them. This was humanity's gift to their former mockers, the ability to stand against extinction itself. Reality anchor at 70% charge. Dr. Rivera's voice was tense but controlled. We need 3 more minutes. The Void Collective seemed to sense the threat. Their assault intensified, reality-destroying tendrils probing for weaknesses in the fleet's defenses. Ships equipped with humanity's technology fired weapons that existed in quantum superposition. Missiles that were simultaneously matter and antimatter, beams that could rewrite the local laws of physics. High Admiral Ixtal, commanding the combined fleet from his upgraded flagship, watched in awe as human tactical systems coordinated the defense. The same species they had laughed at months ago was now conducting a battle against cosmic horror with precision that bordered on precognition. Anchor at 90%, Rivera called out. But they're adapting. The uncertainty field is starting to. A massive tendril of void energy slammed into the fleet's defensive formation. Ships tumbled through space, their quantum fields flickering. For a moment, it seemed like everything would fall apart. Then the Prometheus moved. The human ship's hull transformed, extending impossible geometries of its own, not to unmake reality, but to reinforce it. Captain Chen's voice rang through the command channel. All ships, quantum sync with the Prometheus. Execute attack pattern Lazarus. The assembly fleet responded instantly, their quantum drives synchronizing with the human vessel. Energy began to flow between the ships, creating a web of reality-enforcing power that mirrored the nearly completed reality anchor. They weren't just fighting the void. They were forcing it to play by their universe's rules. Reality anchor at full power. Rivera's triumphant call came just as the Void Collective launched what should have been a killing blow. A wave of unreality swept toward the fleet, big enough to consume a solar system. Now, Chen commanded. The reality anchor activated. A pulse of pure quantum certainty exploded outward from the massive structure, catching the wave of void energy and transforming it. For the first time, the Void Collective was forced fully into normal spacetime. Their impossible geometries became visible, vulnerable. All ships, open fire. Chen's order was calm, almost gentle. Show them what happens when you underestimate humanity. The combined fleet's weapons found their marks. The Void Collective's partially manifested forms, now forced to exist wholly in normal space, couldn't withstand the assault. Where reality-destroying horror had been moments before, now there was only cooling plasma and quantum debris. But even as the first victory was achieved, long-range sensors detected more tears in spacetime opening. The Void Collective was coming in force, and this had been only their advanced scout. The galaxy burned with quantum fire. Thousands of reality tears had opened across assembly space, each disgorging more of the Void Collective's horror. But this time, they faced a prepared galaxy. A united front of civilizations armed with humanity's greatest achievements and humanity's most terrible weapons. Captain Chen stood on the Prometheus's quantum-shifted bridge, watching as reality anchors activated across the galaxy. The massive structures, built in secret by human engineers hidden among primitive research stations, formed a vast network that strengthened the fundamental laws of physics themselves. All defense grids report ready, Dr. Rivera announced, his hands dancing across holographic controls. The quantum uncertainty fields are holding. Assembly worlds are protected. The Void Collective's response was beyond anything they'd anticipated. The tears in reality began to merge, forming a massive wound in spacetime. What emerged was beyond description, a vast intelligence composed of stolen reality, burning with the energy of consumed galaxies. By the eternal stars, Ambassador Cathrax whispered from his position in the Assembly Emergency Command Center. How can we possibly? Watch, Chen interrupted, her voice firm. This is what humanity has been preparing for. This is Project Lazarus in its true form. The Prometheus began to change. Its quantum state hull shifted through impossible configurations, each more complex than the last. The reality anchors across the galaxy pulsed in sync with the ship's transformations, creating a web of reinforced spacetime that trapped the Void Collective's manifestation. 20 years ago, Chen explained as the ship's metamorphosis continued, when we lost our moon, we discovered something about the Void Collective. They don't just consume reality, they store it. Every galaxy they've destroyed, every civilization they've erased. It's all still there, compressed into quantum patterns we couldn't recognize until we learned to look properly. The Prometheus's final form was revealed, no longer a ship, but a quantum key designed to unlock those stored realities. The assembly fleet moved into formation around it, their upgraded drives adding power to what was about to happen. Project Lazarus. Dr. Rivera's voice was thick with emotion, named after the biblical figure who rose from the dead. Because that's what we're about to do, raise the dead. Every galaxy they've consumed, every world they've ended, all of it. The Void Collective seemed to recognize the threat. Their assault on reality intensified, trying to overwhelm the quantum uncertainty fields protecting assembly space. But humanity's secret preparations had created defenses specifically for this moment. All ships, execute final phase, Chen commanded. Let's remind the universe why you should never underestimate humanity. The Prometheus fired its quantum key weapon. Reality itself shuddered as the blast struck the Void Collective's vast form. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the stolen realities began to emerge. Galaxies blossomed in the void, restored from their quantum storage. Civilizations older than time itself returned to existence, their worlds and people restored by humanity's impossible technology. The Void Collective's form began to unravel as everything they had consumed was ripped from their grasp. The assembly fleet pressed the attack, their weapons guided by human tactical systems that could predict quantum probability itself. Where once they had laughed at humanity's primitive technology, now they'd fought alongside them with perfect coordination. The Void Collective tried to retreat, to tear open new rifts in space-time, but the reality anchors had trapped them in normal space. For the first time in their eternal existence, they knew fear. You invaded our galaxy thinking we were primitive. Chen's transmission reached every ship in the combined fleet. You thought we were easy prey. But humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to prepare, to plan, to sacrifice everything in the present for a chance at a better future. Fire everything. The combined fleet's assault, synchronized through quantum entanglement, struck as one. The Void Collective's form, already weakened by the loss of their stolen realities, couldn't withstand the attack. Their impossible geometry collapsed, their unreality converted back into normal spacetime. In the aftermath, as restored galaxies settled into their new positions in space, the assembly chamber was silent. The same beings who had mockingly dismissed humanity as primitive now stood in awe of what they had achieved. We never wanted dominion over the galaxy, Chen addressed the gathered representatives, her hologram standing proud. We wanted partnership. We hid our true capabilities not out of fear or deception, but because we knew unity would be our greatest weapon against the void. And now, she smiled, gesturing to the restored galaxies visible through the chamber's quantum windows. Now we can all face the future together. Ambassador Kithrax stepped forward, his once mocking demeanor replaced with profound respect. The Assembly of Worlds formally acknowledges humanity not just as equals, but as saviors. The age of division is over. Together, we will explore these restored galaxies, learn from the civilizations we've helped restore, and ensure that nothing like the Void Collective ever threatens our reality again. The Prometheus, returned to its ship form, hung in space above the assembly station. Its quantum state hull rippled with possibilities, not of war or destruction now, but of exploration and discovery. Humanity had revealed itself not through conquest or domination, but by saving everything. And in doing so, they had transformed not just the galaxy, but the very nature of reality itself backslash.